No funny business this week, okay? We're on our best behavior today. Meow.
What's up, everybody? It's Reinforced back with another week of power rankings here on the Overwatch League YouTube channel. We had our first week of games for the summer showdown here at the Overwatch League, and some good games all around. You know, we had, for example, the Paris Eternal against the Boston Uprising, which we didn't really expect to be as close as it really was. So that was pretty exciting, and I enjoyed seeing Sparkle now in the mix as he's turned 18. So very exciting matches all around the league this week. So let's bring up my power rankings for this week. We didn't have a ton of changes so far, but I'm going to unveil my top 3 for both regions, and we can sort of go through what I think of all the teams, etc. So this time around, let's start in the APAC region, because this is where we mostly have a lot of contested teams within the mix. So I want to talk about this for a second. So at number 3, we have the New York Excelsior, and Haxal is in the mix, and he is in the lineup and playing around. So this is very exciting. I loved this pickup, and I talked about it last week, how I think that Haxal on the New York Excelsior is a great pickup for this team. I think he's going to have phenomenal games, and I think he's going to increase the level of the New York Excelsior overall, and this sort of makes New York Excelsior a championship contender. Now, Seoul Dynasty didn't really have the best performance. They played some pretty wacky compositions at times. Prophet didn't have the best games, while he typically does have the most consistent performances on the team. So there were some big question marks around the Seoul Dynasty, but still very impressed by the New York Excelsior to come out with a perfect game and win the way they did. So very impressive stuff from the New York Excelsior. Now, they are only number 3, because at number 2 is the Guangzhou Charge, and these are the 2 very hotly contested spots in my power ranking. I very well do think you could make the argument that New York Excelsior could be number 2 because of their performance against the Seoul Dynasty. But at the same time, I don't really want to sleep on the Guangzhou Charge either. I think Guangzhou is a fantastic team, and I think they have some great players on this team as well, and I think their peak level is actually among the best in the Asian region. So still very impressed by the Guangzhou Charge, and I want to see more from both of these teams before I feel comfortable putting New York at number 2. But that is going to be the big storyline, I think, going into next week's power ranking, where both of these teams really slot in. We got some great matches with Hangzhou back in the mix as well coming up this week, so I'm really looking forward to see how the APAC region evolves and how my power rankings are going to look there next week. So stay tuned for that. If you're a New York fan, team is on the rise, and there's a good chance you're number 2 next week. But also, if you're a Guangzhou Charge fan, you know, perhaps you're a bit satisfied with being number 2 for the week being. So let me know what you think about that in the comments, because I think these 2 spots are the most hotly contested ones, and I'm looking forward to perhaps change it up next week based on the performances we're going to see. At number 1 still, we have the Shanghai Dragons, and there are no surprises here really. They had a spectacular performance against the London Spitfire. You know, there are multiple MVP candidates, I feel like, on the Shanghai Dragons. It's hard to really pinpoint one player in specific. For example, Fleta has had some really good performances this season, and then also you have Void on that off tank, who is performing really well. I thought Isayaki was a standout player in the APAC May Melee finals, and I think he deserves a ton of credit for that. So across the board, Shanghai, a really impressive team. London Spitfire fans can't be too happy about that match. I know a lot of you wanted to be above the Chengdu Hunters, but as we take a look at the power rankings in the APAC region, sorry London, you are bottom of the board, and you know, we need to see better performances coming out from you guys. I'm not really happy with what I'm seeing so far. It was very passive, didn't see a ton of stuff happening, so Shanghai with a clean 3-0 to kick off the summer showdown. Meanwhile, in the NA region, we haven't seen a ton of change, and so at number 3, we still have the Philadelphia Fusion after they got beaten by the Florida Mayhem in the May Melee tournament, and you know, they had a pretty good performance this week as well. No real big surprises. There's no real big takeaways. So at number 2 as well, you're going to see the Florida Mayhem, which I think had a great game as well this past week. So performances like we expected from the top 3 teams in the NA region. And then again, at number 1, it's the San Francisco Shock. So not a ton to talk about here really, because we need to see more from these teams, I think, before they can really start contesting for each other's positions. And as you know, breaking into the top 3 is very hard when you have 3 very dominant teams like this. I think the Florida Mayhem are looking really crisp in the current hero pool. We saw this previous week, and the hero pool we'll see coming up this week, given that we have 2 week hero pools now. So still very impressed by the Florida Mayhem. I do look forward to see how Florida performs in the Summer Showdown, if they have to rely on this double shield composition again with Yaki on the Tracer, or if they can play other compositions as well and bring it to the Philadelphia Fusion and the San Francisco Shock. That is going to be the big question for me. Taking a look at the rest of the North American power rankings, one big surprise for you guys might be the LA Gladiators. I thought they had a spectacular performance against the Atlanta Reign this past week, and they changed things up a little bit with LH Cloudy coming in for the Assault map, as well as Junkertown, where he played a bit of a ranked Reinhardt and was all over the place, flanking, hitting some nice charges, very good performance overall. So it changed up the dynamic of the LA Gladiators quite a bit, and I spoke to Birdring in my post-game interview, and he just said like that it was so much fun playing with Cloudy because he plays so aggressive and he makes space for Birdring on that damage role to make a lot more stuff happen. So very exciting stuff from the LA Gladiators. Now, should Dallas Fuel be above the Gladiators? That's a question that is warranted, but not too impressed with what we saw from Dallas this past week, and I need to see more from them before we can really start warranting a higher position within the power rankings for this team. So Atlanta Reign also falling down, trickling down. You can't really base this team based on potential anymore. At this point, the results speak for themselves, and it's not too impressive from the Atlanta Reign, so sorry about that. It's just how it goes. Other teams in the ranking, Boston Uprising, good performance against Paris Eternal. Really enjoyed what I saw, but they couldn't get that W. Boston Uprising, a team that could be climbing in future editions of my power rankings if they continue to play like this. I really enjoyed what I saw, but for now, staying put.
Well, there we have it.
That is my power rankings for both APAC and NA this week. Now, going into next week, you of course want to make sure that you can ask me questions on Twitter. Make sure to use the hashtag AskReinforce, as well as tag me at Reinforce, tag Overwatch League at Overwatch League. And ask me some questions, and I'll bring them up in the next edition of my power rankings here on the Overwatch League YouTube channel. Make sure you like the video, drop a comment down below if you have any thoughts on my power rankings, subscribe to the channel, all of that good stuff. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's power rankings. I hope you had a good time watching the video, and I'll see you next week. Enjoy your week before some great Overwatch, and I'll see you next week again. Stay tuned.